We have Vince Onyekwelu. He's a national security strategist and former British police. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Good to have you. Our last caller was just talking about the fact that there's a disparity in the modus operandi of SARS down south versus what they do in the north. But that's besides the point. However, I would like for your own perspective on this entire movement, because you've been a former British police. In times like this, what should be the approach of the police in dispersing the crowds or the protesters who are trying to be unruly?
Thank you so much for having me. I wouldn't say that the protesters are entirely unruly. I believe the protesters have many germane reasons for them to be out there in the street. And I think one of the things we do when you're trying to manage during crisis is effective engagement. The protesters have got serious, important concerns why they are on the street. And we need to engage them. We need to understand their pulse. We need to empathize with them. That is on our own side. That's the side of the government. Obviously, I am not speaking for the protesters. I am not speaking for the police. I am not speaking for the government. I am speaking as a professional who has been there out in the field. In 2011, before I retired from the service, we had the biggest riot in England. That was the biggest riot ever recorded in living memory. And you need to understand when protesters are protesting and when rioters are rioting. Right now, what they are doing, so far so good, seems to me to be a protest, and they try to do it peacefully. Now, on their own side of the protesters, they need to also engage effectively. They need to be able to make their decisions with speed and precision. When you manage in a time of crisis, we are in a COVID situation, serious health concerns for the protesters while they protest, because many of them could infect themselves with COVID-19 pathogens. And because they are still young, the chance of them going back home and reinfect their elderly parents at home is there. So they need to be very conscious about the dangers of what they are doing on their own path. Number two, they need to understand that in the COVID-19 era, with health issues, financial issues, and now social crisis based on their protest, they need to be able to have a kind of structure, to have leadership. Yes, we understand that they don't have leaders, but they need to ask themselves, you need to have people that can engage with the police, engage with the federal government to check if the demands that you are making, if any of them have been approved, has been considered. Then if you have new demands, you can make new demands. But when you don't have leaders that are ready and capable and willing and honest to negotiate for you, you will have funny characters going to stand in the line and negotiate on your behalf because they have the connections and the contacts. I've seen on social media where people are claiming that many negotiators are making millions or billions out of this. So the protesters need to actually think about this, because the IGP of police is only in charge of police in Nigeria.
Okay. All right.
Police is...
Right.
All right, sir. So, but I know you talked about having representatives who would, liaise with the government to understand if they are going to be carrying out what they have promised they will. And we've had representatives from the protest, someone like Davido, who they had asked to, set up a panel that would be in charge of investigating the SARS officials, or even enacting a new group that would handle, I think, a sort of something like training for the new officers. But I really do not think that is enough, because we really need to have a face. We need to have someone who would go to the government, who would tell us this and this is what is happening. So we're having pockets of different celebrities who are handling this protest, but we don't have like a strong force. We need to set up like a group. Do you suggest that these protesters, so that they don't go around just staying out all day and all night and not having something strong to hold back or to fall back to, do you suggest that they create a group of people who will be liaisons with the government?
I believe when I explained to you, I'm a management consultant, and I was able to rise to level 8 in the British National Health Service. We have the level 9 as the highest, and I rose to level 8. So obviously, if you compare that to Nigeria, level 16 is the highest. So probably in Nigeria, I rose to level 15 before I left the National Health Service in England. So I understand management. When you manage in crisis, as I said to you before, you need to engage impactfully. Engagement means that you need to work with the people the police are having there for you and the federal government is having there for you, because you need to be able to negotiate at a point of strength. Right now, the protesters have a leverage of strength going for them. They need to be able to negotiate from an angle of strength. They don't need to wait until that strength, I don't know, maybe it may wither, it may reduce, or it may even go higher. I don't know.
Right.
So they need to think about their forecast, what they plan to do in the next 1 month or 2 weeks. But what I was trying to say to you, that Nigerians need to understand what is going on from my own perspective.
Okay.
The police officer, pay attention, this is very important, please pay attention. The police officer is different from policing, and policing is different from policing policy. The IGP of police is in charge of police. He is not in charge of policing, and he's not in charge of policing policy. The police officer is a professional like you, who, like a journalist, a medical doctor, a journalist, a judge, who is trained to manage serious crime. That is the job of a police officer. But when it comes to policing, it's not about the police officer alone. It's a multi-agency platform where you have the Nigerian army even involved in policing of kidnappers, involved in policing of banditry, where you have the Nigerian custom in charge of policing our borders to stop illegal goods coming, where you have the Nigerian Navy policing our creeks, our water lines,
right.
Where you have the Nigerian Air Force. So it's different than the policing policy. Listen, please. The policing policy is about those that make the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the senators, the House of Reps. So if they make policing policies that is not practical for the policing stakeholders, you cannot just blame only the police and blame the IGP of police. So we need to understand the differences there.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, let me take this call. It's been holding for a while from Germany. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, ladies.
Morning.
I'm
Go ahead,
from
please.
Germany. Adijulu is my name.
Yes.
I just want to express my happiness seeing this protest. I'm a woman of 49 years, and I think I've lived a better life of my life in Nigeria. And I can say one can compare the life in Nigeria with other places. Nigeria is an unsafe place for any human being. You understand? And seeing this process, and anybody that is against this process is against Nigeria as a whole. And I think at the same time, I think this process should go beyond this end to whatever it is called SARS or whatever it is called. It is going to be a protest about a better Nigeria for every woman being. Like this lady, this Aisha Yesufu said, it should be about human being, about a better life for every individual, no matter who you are.
Right.
That as a person, you can live as a dignified human being that has a life to live. She rightly said it. Nobody is living in that country. They are only surviving, or I can say they are only breathing. That is even if they are breathing what they are supposed to breathe.
Thank you very much for your viewpoint. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Yes, Nima, go ahead, please.
Okay, Mr. Onyekwelu, thank you for the clarity on policing and policing policy. But on this protest that we have now, do we really need a leader? Because the issues are general, they are clear. If government is for all of us, shouldn't they just address the issues rather than negotiate with leadership? Because you see, what happens in Britain is totally different from what happens here. Once you put a face to it, it might be the person who will be used to break the real issue itself. Water down the most serious of issues that we are fighting for. So how do you suggest government approach this? I don't believe they need a leader. What other ways can they approach it?
I believe that what the youth are protesting about, as I said to you before, the youth have a very broad understanding of the challenges of Nigeria because they are the ones that have been wearing the shoes. They are the ones that have gone to universities and there's no employment for them. Those youth on the street have every time and every energy because they're not employed gainfully. Exactly. They are almost on their own. So what we need to do is for us to understand their cries, understand where they are saying the right things, and support the police. Because right now it seems that the Nigerian police are just left on their own. And I would say this, the IGP of police, honestly speaking to you, has been a worthy professional in the job he does. Remember, this was the IGP that listened to the cries of the EndSARS protesters and said to them, I will end SARS. And he did end SARS. Give that to him. This is an IGP that you requested, release all the protesters in custody, and he released all the protesters. Many IGPs of the past would go out with cavalry and start shooting people dead on the street. But he has shown sign of professionalism. This is an IGP that has conducted the most safest election in Edo State this September. This is an IGP that conducted one of the safest election in Ondo State this month. This is an IGP that have shown that talk to me about your problems. Let me end SARS. Let me stop every SARS operative from getting involved in the new SWAT team. So I think the federal government needs to support the IGP and stop playing as if this is the IGP's problem. Because in conclusion, pay attention, in conclusion, people police, we say, who is policing the police? The Senate are policing the police. The presidency is policing the police. So if policing faults are there, they should step in because they are the ones that make policing act. They are the ones that police the police. We should not just sit down and watch.
All right, Vince, let me take this call from London. Deji, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead, you're live.
Yeah, good morning. I love this program. They're following my first time to call. And
thank you very much.
I just want to share my passion with what Aisha Yusufu said. You see, it's not a call that she asked for. It's not a response that she asked for, but something that was placed on her. And what she's asking for, truly, she's concerned and really petrified at what will be the outcome of this protest. Because I think if this protest continues the way it's going now, the government will bring out its true character and really come out in what they know how to do, and there will be blood. But you see, I think this EndSARS thing is gone beyond EndSARS. It's now turning into a real revolution, and the government should just come out and eat their humble pie to save the lives of these young people. It's so sad that they have been ignored for over 60 years. Up till now. And what they are really asking for, what Nigerian is really asking for, is that we want to leave. They want to leave.
Right.
And everywhere across the globe, this is the platform that, but I think what I don't know who is organizing the protest or who is leading it, but they should take it now to the table.
Thank you very much, Deji, for your views. Yes, go ahead, Toko.
So, I hear what you're saying concerning IGP, and I appreciate the clarity you give concerning policing. I want to just, I want you to help address these issues, because currently there's a tweet going on. People are tweeting to us on the show to mention the fact that hoodlums have come with arms, and they're about to attack protesters in Alausa, Ikeja. And this is a fallout from what happened yesterday in Abuja, also happened yesterday in Lagos. So when you say right now that we should believe in IGP, we should believe the IGP is doing what he said he's going to do, how do we define these current attacks going on by thugs? And how do we define the fact that the police isn't protecting protesters that are peaceful, but they seem to be bystanding and allowing thugs to fight protesters?
Okay, thank you for that. Obviously, with my youth experience as a level 3 trained public disorder manager while I was a serviceman, Now, what's going out there is a clarion call that I must make to anybody who calls himself a thug. If you are a thug, or if you're a sponsor, a supporter, a funder of the thug, during the Edo elections, I was sent by the IHRC to monitor Edo and Ondo election. IHRC stands for the International Human Rights Commission. Now, at the International Human Rights Commission, it will be unfair for anyone to sponsor thugs if what you're saying is correct, or to sponsor hooligans to go and attack peaceful protesters. That is wrong. And any sponsor at the point will be fingered or pointed, because those you pay money to at a point will divulge who you are. The protesters also, I believe you guys have looked to be very organized and structured. Obviously, you need to be able to manage your lines, manage your gaps, and reach out to the police for security and protection. That's why when I said managing in a time of crisis, I would expect them to engage impactfully. I would expect them to take decisions with speed and precision on how to have leadership of a sort. And in conclusion, the welfare of the protesters are very important to us. Nobody should abuse them. No one should use live ammunition against innocent, unarmed protesters. And for the protesters also, make sure you behave yourself. We've heard news about police officers being killed, being shot, human beings being attacked by protesters. They need to be careful, because even though you're protesting, you cannot abuse the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay.
You need to protest within the ambit of the law. And one more thing you need to understand, we need to protect the welfare of the protesters. We also need to protect the welfare of the police officers. 2 days ago, while I was coming back from Ondo elections, 2 police officers, Sergeant Dauda Amuda and Sergeant Ogedembe Andrew, died in the line of work. Right after the election, they were going back to their offices and they had a fatal accident and they died. What is the welfare for the families of Sergeant Andrew and Sergeant Amuda? When are we going to start the Fallen Police Day in Nigeria? We have the Unknown Soldier Day in Nigeria.
Right.
Why don't we have the Fallen Police Officer Day in Nigeria also? Because we need to understand the welfare of the police officers. Their barracks, their barracks, their living conditions is very poorly. And it needs to be addressed by those that make the policing policies and do just the policing.
All right, thank you very much, sir. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on this. We're speaking with Vince Onyekwelu. He is a national security strategist and former British police. Let's go to break. We'll be right back.
You can watch Your View on TVC every Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Nigerian time on DSTV channel 418, GOTV channel 27 and channel 47, StarTimes channel 121 and channel 307, Play TV channel 801 and channel 190, UHF 49, Sky channel 515 for UK viewers. Watch live on Facebook at TVC Connect and on our website tvcentertainment.tv/livestream.